Welcome, everyone, to episode 2 of Unfiltered with yours truly, Paige Royal. And so today, what we're going to talk about is this is the series 1 within the series. It's my origin story and the turning point. And so today, we're going to talk only about the breaking point. And I think the easiest way that I can, let me just get my the easiest way that I can describe it is to say that there was a time when everything looked fine on the outside, but inside I was falling apart. And I think it's a really interesting thing to say. I get goosebumps when I talk about it because I think that that's a lot of people, that we can do a really great job of showing the world the best parts of us and that we're doing great. And when someone asks how we are, we say, oh, yeah, I'm really great. Things are, whatever stories that we tell, which is great to tell good stories. But what's the truth that's happening on the inside, right? And so we're just going to go back to gosh, what year would this have been? It would have been around 2014. So we're talking like 10, well, that's 11 years ago now. It's crazy. And I had just, moved home. I used to live out west. I lived in Vancouver and Whistler. So I lived in Whistler for 3 years, and then I lived in Vancouver for 5 years. I was working out there for, at the time, the president, one of the presidents, and his executive assistant of IntraWest, when it used to be called IntraVest. Now it's Vail, I think, owned by Vail. And then I went on to Vancouver to work as a corporate securities paralegal. And then I moved home. Something was telling me to go home. And if I had known what was waiting for me when I went home. Oh my God. Okay, so I started living in the basement of my mom's house. And then within 2 years, we were pretty much, and this goes in, I'll be sharing all the different facets. My mom and I were just not getting along, And so it was like, okay, it's time to branch out and on my own. So I bought a condo. And I was living in Barrie, Ontario at the time, and I bought a condo there. And what's so interesting is I was commuting 3 hours a day minimum. That was on a good day if there was no accidents on the highway, to a job that I couldn't stand, that I loathed, with people that didn't care about me. And in fact, one didn't even know my name after working there for 4 years, which is crazy. And I was in a relationship with a great man. It's just that we just weren't a fit, it wasn't the right relationship for, I'll speak for myself, for me, And so basically at that time, I was living in this condo. I was working full time, commuting 3 hours a day. I had my cycling and nutrition business gig on the side. I honestly don't know how I was doing it. I would race back on the highway from work to go lead women's rides or clinics or whatever it was that I was teaching that evening, hoping that the highway wouldn't have any accidents on it. And I'd show up there as my bubbly, amazing self, when really on the inside, it was just complete chaos. I had so much self-doubt. I had so much insecurities leading this women's only thing. I thought, oh my gosh, someone can come in here and do this better than I can. And I was just completely tapped. It put a lot of pressure because I wanted out of corporate so bad. I wanted to not be doing law anymore. I wanted to have my own business, to make my own hours, to make my own money. But most importantly, the thing that really drove that was that I just wanted to do something that I felt was meaningful to me, that where I could go and I could help people just help people. And so it started off, I knew that the cycling and nutrition business wasn't going to be like the thing just because it was in person. And I always had the dream that I wanted to work, do what I'm doing right now. I'm living in another country. I'm not in Canada, and I work off my laptop. And this was the dream that I had had since, oh my gosh, probably like 2010, maybe even before that. But I just didn't know. Like I always knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur from the age of 21. I remember working my first job at Stikeman Elliott in Toronto, Ontario, being in a huge skyscraper up on the 52nd floor, working for an amazing lawyer. And so it wasn't about the people or the lawyer, right? It was just about the job. And so I just knew then, but that was back in the days of the yellow pages and the white pages. And I was so young, how like what do I do? And so you just go through life, right? And so yeah. So basically everything came to a head. I was driving in my car down the highway thinking, I don't want to do this job. I know that my business as a cycling and nutritionist is not sustainable right now. Like from a lifestyle, like what I was, putting out, or like the kind of lifestyle that I had, and the money that would only come in from that business wasn't going to be enough. It wasn't going to be a match, And so I knew that, but then things got so bad between my relationship, not just knowing that that wasn't like I wasn't in integrity with that, the job, not loving the job, hating the commute, the condo. Oh my gosh, I ran a cycling business and it didn't allow bikes. So I made this bike cover to put my bike in so that I could put it into the elevator and take it up the stairs. And actually, I didn't even take the elevator. I walked the stairs with it so no one would see me. Talk about caring what other people think, right? I mean, that's just a prime example of it. And so, but on the outside, when you really think about all of that, I bought a condo, beautiful condo. I was working this job that was seemingly great, successful, whatever, I was working for a really rich guy. Um, so I was in-house counsel. And the relationship, we went riding bikes all the time, and I've always loved my family, but at that time that was all falling apart as well. And so, but when you looked on the outside and how I presented myself and how I showed up, I looked like everything was going great in my life. But inside, I remember taking what we call a converter, but it's like a remote control for a TV, and like turfing it at the floor so that it would like just ricochet. I was just so angry inside and so unhappy in my life. And I didn't know how to change it. I remember my friend would talk to me and she'd give me all these ideas and I would shoot every single one of them down. But it was because that was the days when I was in my victim. I wasn't taking responsibility for my part in it. And I was not taking responsibility for getting myself out of it. In fact, sometimes I just wanted to be saved, by someone or something. And then I remember what happened. One day I woke up and part of the sight in my eye was gone, one of my eyes. And I thought, oh, well, I'm not going to bother going to the doctor. It'll probably resolve itself. But well, within 3 days, it was still not there. So I thought, okay, you don't want to mess with your eyes. So I better go to an eye doctor. So I went to the eye doctor and the eye doctor's like, yeah, I think we got to send you to a specialist. And so then I went to a top ophthalmologist and he was looking behind my eye, in front of my eye. I don't know how they do that in the eyeballs. And he's just like, I'm not seeing anything. Are you under a lot of stress? And I said, as a matter of fact, I am, you know? And he's like, I think that this will resolve itself, but you need to start managing your stress. And I remember at one point, I remember thinking to myself, I want all this to stop. My mental chatter the narrative that was going on in my head was like next level loud, like so loud that I couldn't hear myself. I couldn't make decisions. I would outsource all of my power, asking my family what they thought I should do, asking people I didn't hardly know what they thought I should do, asking my friends what they thought, or I thought, or what I thought, or sorry, what they thought I should do, asking my partner at the time what he thought I should do, and then when you do that for long enough, you end up in this place where you wake up one day, which I did, and I said, who am I? I get shivers always talking about this. Who am I? Like, what do I want? Like, this isn't it. I know I'm meant for so much more, but this is not it. This condo's not it. This relationship's not it. This job's not it. Nothing's it, you know? And I remember thinking to myself, the noise was so loud. And if I woke up, if I could get to sleep, because the ruminating was going on, and if I woke up in the night, like the ruminating would just start. And there was just so much loss of sleep over all of this. And it wasn't just one area of my life, it was all the areas of my life. It was my relationship, it was financially, it was my career. It was my family, like my family was falling, my relationships with my family were falling apart. My health, obviously, losing the sight in your eye, going downhill. And so it's so interesting when someone tells me to niche. I'm like, how the hell do you niche on something when literally you hit a bottom and it's every area of life that's upside down. And I remember thinking to myself, I just want all of this to stop. I don't know what I need to do. Well, I know what my thoughts were, but I just need all of this to stop so that it was just like I just wanted to press the pause button on my life. And that was the moment between the I and thinking that when I knew I couldn't keep living like that. And that's where the whole journey began. So that was the breaking point for me. That was where things were just, I knew that I knew I had to help myself, and I knew I needed someone else's help as well. Because I'm a smart woman, I'm a resourceful woman, and I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure out how to get myself out of this mess I was in. And so this is the breaking point story. And I hope, well, it is what it is, right? And so the next video will be on what I tried before I found what worked. And then the leap that I took will be the next video. The next video after that is the weekend that changed everything. And then the next one is, why I do this work. And this is just one series within the series. So you're getting to know me. And I really found like over the last little while, I haven't been showing up on video very much. And I was like, no, people need to know, like, and this is just, I mean, how do you gloss over, every area of your life being upside down in like 10 minutes? I don't know how long this video is. I mean, there's a lot more that goes into it than that. And I'll get into that. I've got 82 videos to do. Which I am just like beyond excited to share all of this with you, because this part of my life is, a long time ago. And this is how I found what it is that I do now. And just being able to move through things a lot quicker. Now, it's not to say that life's not lifing. I think I just did a post on that a couple of days ago. Life's still lifing, life's for all of us. Stuff happens, and it's just how we respond and how we handle those things that makes the difference. And the more knowledge we get, and the more, the more we clear out the things from the past, because this stuff here didn't just come from nothing. There was a whole set of beliefs, a whole set of values, a whole set of stories and past experiences that created this whole thing, this whole situation that I got myself into. And so that's what I want to share on. It's like, yeah, this is the breaking point. This is the icky stuff. This was the feelings of like pure, I don't know, how do you even explain that? It's so far, it's like I was just I didn't know what to do. You know, I was sad, I was mad, I was scared, so scared. I felt so much shame, you know, all of this stuff. And so how did I release all of that? So that's what we're going to be sharing over these 82 videos. So stay tuned. Um, the next video will be out, and it is what I tried before I found what worked. All right, gonna love yous and leave yous. Mwah.